Our first stop is the ancient Egypt, a civilization known for its impressive pyramids, grand sphinx, and powerful pharaohs. The Egyptians were exceptional builders, creating marvels that still stand in the desert today. Their towering pyramids, intricately decorated tombs, and gigantic statues are testament to their skilled craftsmanship and architectural prowess. But beyond these astonishing physical feats, ancient Egypt was also a realm of remarkable spiritual and cultural practices. Among these practices was one particularly peculiar ritual known as the opening of the mouth ceremony. Bizarre as it may sound to us today, this ceremony was highly significant within the context of ancient Egyptian beliefs about life, death, and the afterlife. It was not just a mere superstition, but a deeply ingrained tradition that spoke volumes about their worldview. This ritual involved an Egyptian priest, often adorned in ceremonial garb, touching the mouth of a statue or mummy with a series of magical instruments. These instruments held a sacred, symbolic significance. Each was meticulously crafted with specific materials and marked with intricate designs, a testament to the Egyptians' belief in the power of symbols and rituals. The purpose of this ceremony was not simply to perform a physical act, but to enact a profound metaphysical transformation. According to Egyptian beliefs, it was thought to restore the senses of the deceased, to awaken their ability to eat, drink, speak, and breathe in the afterlife. It was a crucial part of preparing the departed for their journey into the realm of the dead. The ritual was more than a mere formality. It was a profound expression of the Egyptians' respect for the dead and their belief in life after death. It was believed to ensure that the deceased would not just exist, but thrive in the afterlife. It was a way of ensuring that the deceased spirit would continue on, unhindered by the physical limitations that once bound them in life. The opening of the mouth ceremony gives us a glimpse into the fascinating and complex world of ancient Egyptian beliefs. It sheds on their intricate system of rituals and their deep-seated beliefs about life, death, and what lies beyond. And while it may seem strange to us, it was a crucial part of their culture, a necessary step in the journey from life to death and from death to eternity. Imagine that, a dental appointment for the deceased. Fast forward to medieval Europe, where the practice of trial by ordeal was commonplace. This was a period where justice was meted out in a manner that might seem particularly gruesome and alien to us. It was a time marked by sweeping changes and transformations, a time when the judicial system operated on principles much different from those we now hold sacred. In these tumultuous times, suspected criminals found themselves faced with a unique and extremely harsh form of trial. It was a system where innocence and guilt were determined not by a jury, but by the harsh torch of physical torment. Accused individuals were forced to undergo trial by ordeal, a practice that was as thought-provoking as it was chilling. This wasn't a practice that was limited to one part of Europe, but rather it was widespread across the continent in different forms and variations. From the frosty Nordic lands to the balmy Mediterranean shores, from the rough Celtic highlands to the fertile plains of Hungary, the trial by ordeal tested the mettle and spirit of the accused. The suspected criminals were subjected to painful tasks, each one more daunting than the last. They were made to perform feats that tested the very limits of human endurance. One such task included carrying hot iron bars, a fiery test that left many an accused with searing scars and haunting memories. Another was plunging their hands into boiling water, a test that physically scorching as it was psychologically tormenting. These ordeals were not just punishing, but were also designed to strike fear into the hearts of potential wrongdoers. The belief that underscored these trials was deeply rooted in the social and religious fabric of medieval society. The idea that divine intervention was the ultimate judge, expected to intervene and protect the innocent. It was a belief that invoked the higher powers, a belief that justice was divine, and the innocent had nothing to fear. However, this belief was not without its critics. Many questioned the fairness and justification of such trials. Yet despite the controversies and debates, trial by ordeal remained a cornerstone of medieval justice for many centuries. A rather scorching path to justice, wouldn't you agree? Next, we venture to the 19th century American West, a time filled with wild adventure and pioneering spirit, where individuals etched out new lives on the frontier dotted with endless plains and rugged mountains. The men and women who resided there were a different breed, strong, brave, and fiercely independent. Among these pioneers, there were a group of people who became the embodiment of the West, the beloved Cowboys. These men were the epitome of versatility and resilience, two qualities that were reflected in the way they utilized their attire, their hats in particular. Yes, the cowboy hat was not just an iconic symbol of the West, it served multiple functions, one of the most surprising of which was its use as an emergency drinking vessel. It's a captivating thought, isn't it? That the men who traversed the vast open plains, spent their days under the harsh sun, herding cattle and maintaining law and order, would use their hats, an integral part of their identity, for something as vital as quenching their thirst. Picture this. A cowboy, having ridden for miles under the blazing sun, finds himself parched, with no sight of a water source nearby, alone in the expanse of the wild, miles from the nearest town. The undulating heat shimmers off the arid plains, making the whole scene look like an illusion. Sweat trickles down his forehead, staining the dust-covered brim of his hat. His throat feels like sandpaper, his lips chapped and cracked from the intense heat. Suddenly, he spots a small, isolated pool of water. A sigh of relief escapes his lips as he dismounts his horse and walks over. He removes his hat, the sturdy Stetson that has shielded him from the sun, the rain, and the occasional stray bullet. He kneels down, dipping the brim of his hat into the water. The hat, worn and weathered from years of use, holds the water just long enough for him to bring it to his lips. He takes a sip, the cool water providing immediate relief to his parched throat. It is moments like these that make you realize the importance of being resourceful in such a harsh and unforgiving environment. It's testament to the cowboys' adaptability and survival instincts. Talk about multifunctional fashion. Lastly, we land in the early 20th century, a time when the world was brimming with the exciting promise of new scientific discoveries. Among the many elements being discovered and explored, one particular element stood out from the rest, capturing the attention of the whole world. This was the era of radium, a radioactive element that quickly became the talk of the town, the subject of every conversation, the fascination of an entire generation. Radium was a novelty, an enigma that held a tantalizing allure. It was born from the brilliance of Pierre and Marie Curie's minds, who discovered this element, and it held the world in its mysterious radiating glow. An element that glowed in the dark, a substance that seemed to hold an almost supernatural power. It was hailed as a scientific miracle, a discovery that was deemed to change our understanding of the world. What was it about radium that made it so popular? It was not just its luminescent quality. It was the belief, the conviction that it held miraculous health benefits. Society, especially the higher echelons, was so taken in by this idea that they started adding it to everything. It found its way into everyday items, creeping into our lives in more ways than one could imagine. Radium was added to toothpaste, promising users a sparkling smile that was not just white, but that also glowed with health. It was mixed into cosmetics, with manufacturers claiming that it could rejuvenate the skin, give women a youthful glow, and make them more beautiful than ever. Radium-laced products became a status symbol, a sign of affluence and sophistication. It was a fad, a trend that swept across nations, transcending borders and cultures. Yet there was a terrifying reality that this radiating fad, a reality that was as chilling as the glow of radium in the dark. The belief in radium's miraculous health benefits was not just misplaced, it was deadly false. While its brightness brought light to many lives, it also brought along an unforeseen darkness. It took several tragic and horrifying cases of radiation poisoning, people suffering the dire consequences of their faith in this element, for the truth to dawn upon everyone. Finally, the blind faith in radium started to fade away, just like the glow of this radioactive element in the light of day. It took several tragic cases of radiation poisoning for this trend to fade away. Now let's recap. We've witnessed a dental ritual for the dead in ancient Egypt, a painful path to justice in medieval Europe, cowboys turning their hats into makeshift canteens, and a radioactive beauty trend that had a dangerously glowing reputation. These practices, bizarre as they were, serve as a testament to human ingenuity, adaptability, and at times, stark naivety. The past, it seems, is not only a foreign country, but also a rather peculiar one. As we close this chapter of our historical expedition, remember, the past is a well of curiosities, a testament to our evolution, and a reminder of our shared human experience. And who knows, perhaps 100 years from now, people will look back at our present-day practices and find them equally as bizarre. But that, dear listener, is a story for another time.